Hey, what's up everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. Silver's true price is honestly unknown. Anytime we're looking at the spot price of silver, we're establishing that price off of what's happening in the economy during that time. So if we look at that perspective moving forwards, global pandemic, US presidential election, massively falling supply, silver shortage on our hands, rapidly rising demand, rapidly falling dollar, it's only looking bullish for precious metals. But is $140 too much? Is that going into impossible territory? I don't think so. I made a video yesterday talking about $100 silver in the time frame that could be a reality. It's not going to happen next week, not next year. It would be within the next 5 to 10 years. That's realistic in my opinion. This video is talking about $140 silver and can it really happen? Before we jump into this deep discussion, this very controversial discussion, I want to bring something to you. This is my merch store. Link in the description. I dropped a new product. I'm really happy about my merch store. If you want to passionately share your love for precious metals and look good doing it, link in the description. So this article is very good. Link is in the description as well. It's talking more about $140 silver and breaking down all the different reasons why. It's very eye-opening and I think you're going to enjoy it. So while most of this pandemic news is baked into the gold price, when the dust settles, $2,000 to $2,500 is likely to be the new floor. So that's a really good floor. That's gold's all-time high. And if that's a floor for its all-time high, then imagine not only what it's going to do to gold's price in its future, but silver's as well. The $1,000 floor for gold took time to establish, and the process involved significant pain for gold price enthusiasts. It's an emotional roller coaster, right? It definitely is. This doesn't mean that you have to act off of emotions though, right? Investing emotionally is the quickest way to fail, to lose money. So establishing a $2,000 floor should create only minor investor discomfort, right? Many miners will continue to soar higher during the process. Gold rallied through the minor high near $1,988. and is now likely to push through the $2,000 range and challenge the minor high at $2,025. If we break through that level, that price, the sky is literally the limit. And trust me, it's going to go a lot faster, a lot higher, and it's going to gain a lot more traction. If silver breaks through its $50 all-time high, it's going to probably reach $70, $80, tenfold of what it took to get to 50. Because once it does that, people see the opportunity. The proof is in the pudding that it's profitable, then they invest. So it's not just the US creep state that is recklessly borrowing and printing vast amounts of money, or fiat money. So India's chief economic advisor says the government will not rule out short-term fiscal stimulus. So even other countries are talking about dumping money into the economy to keep everything afloat, or pretend. It's like putting a band-aid on a deep wound. It just doesn't work. The thought is nice, right? It's the right idea, but it's just not possible. And trust me, that wound is not going to get fixed, right? The Indian creep state refuses to cut the gold import tax, but is always happy to borrow more fiat in the name of the taxpayers. So ominously, they are starting to mimic the madmen of the West and print it manically too. See, trying to throw money at this problem is not only the worst thing to do, it's dangerous. People are realizing how broke the United States really is. This pandemic has exposed us. $1 trillion stimulus packages is something we just simply can't afford. As countries opt out of the USD as the world reserve currency, that gets even more dangerous. But it is more bullish for precious metals. So they call their debt ramp up a stimulus for the mangled economy. But the debt will be permanent and serve as a platform for higher inflation. Higher inflation is a direct correlation to what? Higher gold and silver prices. Speaking of inflation, when Warren Buffett recently bought into Barrick and he's now buying key Japanese stocks in what appears to be another move to benefit from rising inflation. So, banks can generate good profits in an inflationary environment, but only if rates go higher. That doesn't look likely because the debt-obsessed U.S. government could implode if rates rose even modestly. Warren likely senses something is different from the 1970s with this potential inflationary wave, so he's wisely shunning banks and embracing commodity stocks. So, if things are looking like this, if the proof is in the pudding, which charts are a great way to gauge where a price is headed or what's really happening behind the scenes in the economy. We see all the headlines, we read all the interviews, but charts show the statistics, the stats. You can't base everything, can't base your decision, can't base the price solely on the charts, just like you can't base the price solely on, from speculation or from word of mouth. It's a little bit of both. They're both intertwined. Buying physical gold and bullion is definitely the smartest, safest way, but we still have to keep up to date with this because this is extremely important where silver and gold prices go, especially for the long term. So momentum players should get positioned on any further upside action, and all investors should watch the $44 minor high. It can be argued from an Edwards and McGee chart analysis perspective that a move above that price officially reinvigorates the uptrend. As expected, silver burst upside from these inverse head and shoulders bottoms highlighted on this chart and now looks ready to test the year's high. So if silver, like I said, breaks above that level, the sky's going to be the limit. The sky's the limit. And like I said in the intro of this video, right, nobody knows what silver's price can be, not even close, because one, we don't have a crystal ball to fast forward. We don't have a time machine to see what's going to be happening in the future, which is most likely going to be much worse than we could picture, only because the system is falling at a faster rate than ever before, right? The dollar is at a place that's on thin ice from collapsing through, and once people realize that, it's going to be even more dangerous. Remember, the dollar doesn't have any intrinsic value. It's based solely off of how much people think it's worth. So if people start to think it's not worth much, it literally won't be worth much. Gold and silver is the only way to preserve your wealth. It's the only way to save yourself from this. Many people will fall. Many people will get bit in the butt. We don't have to, right? We at least know an alternative. Silver is a must-own asset in an inflationary environment. Using both 1970s inflation and Fibonacci analysis, it's my contention that if inflation surges as gold moves towards 3,000, silver could rally to about $140. So $3,000 gold, $140 silver, is that possible? We know the gold to silver ratio is a great tool to give some insight, some context on which is the better investment. We saw the ratio as high as 125 to 1 in March, but we also saw it as low as 72 to 1 today. Historically, it's around 16 to 1 until the 30s when FDR changed it from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1, where silver got basically devalued and gold got overvalued, overpriced, right, with FDR. But a point aside from that, the gold to silver ratio has to normalize back down to average levels, right? It has to. The ratio is never going to sit above 100 for too long. It always corrects back downwards. So knowing that, and knowing the ratio is going to keep going lower, silver is going to keep outperforming gold, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, especially when other players in the game start affecting the prices of these two metals. Remember, silver is an industrial metal along with a monetary metal. Gold is just a monetary metal. So right now, silver and gold prices are more correlated, directly correlated from their prices as a commodity. But as silver starts benefiting from these assets, it's electronical, it's so intertwined with electronics, since it's the most highly conductive metal. It's going to be more beneficial, also affecting and reflecting the price even higher, where gold has no chance to stand. So silver not only has more potential from a commodity standpoint, from a monetary standpoint, but also from an industrial standpoint, which means the gold to silver ratio really has never been a factor, or in what's the word, an accurate factor yet, but it will be sometime. Regardless of what stock markets are doing, regardless of what's happening in the economy, silver's price will at some point be solely supply and demand, because that's what an intrinsic asset is based off of. That's what it's priced off of. That's what it once upon a time was, when when the gold to silver ratio was 8-1. And not saying it's headed back that low, but to minimalize it, even 40, 50-1 is still it would be ideal at that stage, or at this stage in time in history, right? We're never going to see the ratio 2.5-1 like it was in biblical times. That's just not realistic. It's crazy that it's not, because nothing makes silver more or less valuable than gold. It doesn't do anything that gold doesn't do. Gold does, or silver does, just as many things that gold does, except silver's cheaper, more affordable. So silver, a must-own asset in an inflationary environment. It's a must-own. If you're not investing in the precious metals, then you're going to be screwed. Even if you have a lot of money and you're keeping it in the bank, if you're not investing in the gold and silver, you're still broke. So $3,000 gold and $140 silver, that's a gold to silver ratio about 20-1. 20-1. That was the peak action in 1980 when silver was $50. But trust me, before 1980 and after 1980, it was not anywhere near that. So I guess the bottom line is that silver's true value, its true price, is unknown. We're in unknown territory, and things are going to get crazier before they get better. Trust me, things are going to get worse before they get better. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you thought this video was educational, informational, or at least as entertaining, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, check out my merch store, link in the description as well. This was Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.